future, we'll all wear these really cool glasses. Except some old people, which will still have these ones. But I can't see anything, so let's get started. Welcome, everybody, to Augmented World Expo 2014. Thank you for joining us in here, out there, everywhere. My name is Inbar. I'm the CEO and co-founder of AugmentedReality.org, a nonprofit organization with a mission to advance augmented reality to advance humanity. We do it by connecting, educating, and by helping AR startups and wearable startups hatch their ideas to market. We also produce Augmented World Expo, the largest event dedicated to augmented reality, wearables, and the Internet of Things. And we are now in our 5th year. How many of you have been here for 5 years? Nice. Thank you. So I have one question for you. Are you ready to get augmented? Let's try that again. Are you ready to get augmented? Nice. Wonderful. Now just the ladies. Have you seen this shirt? What do you think? You like it? It says, augmento ergo sum, or I augment, therefore I am. Thanks, Yehuda, for designing a shirt. If you are members of AugmentedReality.org, you get the shirt for free. So do all the speakers. For the rest of us, or the rest of you, it's going to be $15 in the registration. Or you can win it. We're going to have a bunch of contests and quizzes, and here's the first one. If you augment the shirt, by the end of the show, we'll show some of the best designs out there, and you can win a shirt. So what's our theme in 2014? Anybody? What's the theme? Something with interactive, yeah. All right. Make the world more interactive. Why? Because in an interactive world, everything is more engaging, productive, and ultimately more fun. Cool, but what does it really mean, interactive, in this context? Well, 2014 is emerging as the year of the wearable. Take a look at Google Trends and see this crazy spike in 2014. And the Internet of Things is becoming huge as well, valued by some corporations at over $14 trillion. How does it look in Google Trends? Dwarfing wearables. It's huge. And augmented reality seems to have turned a corner and is showing real value. And on Google Trends, you can see the hype cycle started back in 2009 in a big way. And here, by the way, is when the first AWE took place. And now these three technologies are converging into the interactive world. But why interactive, you may ask? I mean, computers are interactive, right? So how can the physical world be interactive? Well, that's right. If you look at the last 30 years, interactive meant a two-way communication with a computer, a graphical user interface on a screen controlled with a keyboard and a mouse. But if you keep going back in time, way back in time, for 1 million years, humans interacted with their environments. It was nature's way to evolve us to what we are today. I think that as humans, we don't like to be hostages by screens. We want to break away and get back to reality. So I looked up the word interactive recently, and I saw there's a big change happening. Interactive is now described as being able to manipulate or control the world. And it's not necessarily by an evil genius, but through a digital layer, a layer that empowers us to interact with the physical world, with people, places, and things. And it consists of 3 elements: a device, an intuitive interface, and a way to communicate with the world around you. Or in other words, wearable tech, augmented reality, and the Internet of Things. But how are they really connected? Well, ask any digital native, and you'll see 2 conflicting needs. On the one hand, we want computers to get smaller and cheaper, and we want them to be better and faster at improving our lives and work. And wearables are exactly that. Mini computers on track to shrink and disappear on our bodies. On the other hand, we want bigger screens. We want sharper displays. And we also want to be able to interact with it in an intuitive way. But if computers are so small, take a smartwatch, for example, where are you going to have this huge screen that you like so much? And how are you going to interact with it? After all, you don't have much touch area on a smartwatch. The question is, how do we bridge this gap? No, seriously, how do we bridge this gap in expectations? Well, the answer is simple. The interactive world, where augmented reality becomes the interface between wearables and the world. Augmented reality is becoming the new display and the new mouse. And that's how we'll bridge this gap and have a big, unobstructed smile. Okay, so what's the latest in the interactive world? Let's take a look at the top 5 trends that we identified for this year. Let's take them one by one. First thing you'll notice is that it's transitioning from a gimmick to a value. It made a huge transformation over the last year or two, from a girl jumping on a marker to applications that help in retail, healthcare, sports, training, entertainment, and many, many other areas which are being revolutionized with this technology. The second trend is we're moving from mobile to wearable. The smartphone brought us AR to the masses for the first time, but we want more. For years, we've all been waiting for real augmented reality glasses to arrive that will make AR experiences way better. Hands-free, always on, making us better at anything we do. In 2014, for the first time, 10 companies are launching augmented reality glasses to the market. Can anyone name those 9? Well, we'll do some quizzes later, but whoever can name all 9 in one flow will get a shirt. But you have to remember, these are mostly 1.0 products, and some people will say even beta. But it's going to take some time until they reach the mass market, and I think for now we're going to have a lot of mobile applications that deliver the augmented reality experience. The third trend, from consumer to enterprise. This is the most significant trend I'm seeing this year. Enterprise augmented reality is exploding with projects spanning from training, warehouse picking, field service, security, and many other areas. Fortune 1000 companies must find new ways to improve their businesses, and they see this technology as the best way to do that. And the fourth trend, from GPS to 3D-fying the world. The first AR demo, if you remember, holding a mobile phone, an Android phone, in front of the castle in Austria by Wikitude, wowed the world, was really cool, but we felt like it's not accurate in an urban area, and especially not indoors. So the next step is really to be able to 3D-fy the world, 3D mapping of everything that we look at, whether it's indoors and outdoors, which will be a huge step towards making the world interactive. And above all, look at all the trends combined. The biggest change of all is that computers are disappearing onto our bodies and into the environment. A new interface is emerging. A truly natural interface. Multi-touch was heralded a few years ago as the new interface, but when you seek a truly natural interface, beyond touching a limited 2D screen, there is a huge potential for much more than that. This is how we are today, texting while walking and bumping into things. Computers rarely activate our brain to look around, and yet it is in our bones. This is how we're going to look in the future. We want to interact with the world, with people, places, things. And I think it's our job here to invent this new interface. It's not human-computer interface, guys. It's not. It's been studied for 40 years and was great, but we have to leave it behind. It's a new domain that should be thought of as maybe human-world interaction. So that concludes my top 5 trends. And if you want to see them in action, there's no better place than right here, the Augmented World Expo. So what are we going to have this week? Quick review. We just completed a really cool 2-day hackathon for wearable applications, and had a great tutorial day where we learned about SDKs, how to develop for glass, and had a really great AR standards meeting or AR interoperability. And today and tomorrow, we have two super packed days with 136 talks and over 200 demos. We have great keynotes that will blow your mind. Robert Scoble, probably the most vocal evangelist in the space, will speak today. We have tomorrow Hiroshi Ishii, director from MIT Lab, which will showcase the latest research in the interactive world. And Tim Chang, a visionary investor, will represent the investment community with building the tech-enabled soul. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. We have 152 speakers in 136 talks in 3 tracks. We'll cover a wide range of technologies that make the world more interactive. And the largest number of use cases you can ever imagine in different industries. And of course, we're going to start looking more into design and culture and how it's impacting our lives. Put your hands together for a big thank you to our amazing sponsors and exhibitors. They truly made this event possible. And also a shout out to our co-located event, Embedded Vision Summit. It will take place tomorrow, right next door. You're all invited. Our amazing exhibitors will show over 200 demos combined in 8 different pavilions on the expo floor downstairs. You can find it by the different colors. And you'll be able to kind of test yourself all these demos and experience them and see the people behind them. And tonight, the Augie Awards. The ceremony will recognize the best of the best in 8 categories and award the winners with the coolest trophy ever. Want to take a look? You zoom it up? Can we get it up? All right, so this, first of all, shout out to Brian Yetzer, which helped us 3D model this and then casted it. It's like a new thing that we created this year. So the ceremony tonight is at 7 p.m. right here. And we have a super cool surprise. During the halftime show, we're going to have theater improvisation show powered by Google Glass. You've never seen that before. Me neither. All right, tomorrow is a startup launchpad with 5 super startups that will battle for the next Augie. And we also have, as every year since 2010, a lot of artists here. We'll see a lot of them during the Art Gala tonight at 5:15 in Hall A and G&H. But there's so much more this year. We have a crazy interactive sideshow you might have seen here in the mezzanine. You have to see it to believe it. And we have City Visions. The Heavy Projects put together this huge mural in the expo to inspire developers to create augmentations that study the urban landscape. And we also have Give Me More, a super cool collection of AR art installations in room 201, actually on this floor right next to the sessions, by EPFL ECAL Lab. And for the first time tonight, we have a wearable fashion show with actual models walking on stage with all kinds of wearable clothing and devices. It's going to be super cool. Don't miss it. And of course, grand finale tomorrow with Young Jake from Sundance Festival, which is a rapper, artist, musician, which is going to show kind of a mix of video, sound, webcams, projections, sensors, and all sorts of crazy stuff. I wouldn't miss it. But before we go, make sure to download our mobile app. Go to augmentedworldexpo.com/mobile and take a look at this Bizabo app. It's going to have everything you need, agenda, sessions that you can also save to your calendar. You can see the list of sponsors, exhibitors, the floor plan. And the best of all, you can connect with each other using that application and meet and continue the conversation afterwards. And of course, don't miss the AWE Quest. Hunt for logos and win prizes. We always got to have some games. So that's what we have for you this year. Thanks for making AWE so awesome. And I hope you enjoy it.
Everything is awesome.
Thank you for making the world more interactive. And now, I'd like to introduce my AWE co-founder, Tish Shute.
Hi. Thank you, Ori, for that amazing introduction. Time is precious, so I think I'm going to launch straight into my talk, but my other hat I wear I'm a member of the founding team of Entertainment, and I would like at the end of this to offer everyone here the opportunity to be some of the very first people to sign up for our beta list. Anyway, making the world more interactive. It's a commonplace that augmented reality is about who you are, where you are, and what you're doing. But I'm actually, and if you know me, I've always most interested in who you are and how augmented reality will change this. Smoke signals, community, and actually I think identity and empathy in an augmented world. Smoke signals are one of the oldest forms of visual long-distance communication. They're the original status update, and the simplicity and power of this primal form of communication, I think, has a lot to teach us even today. Poor man's augmented reality, maximizing the usefulness of contextual signals to you without monopolizing your attention. What about a location-aware app that knows where you are and where all your friends are, but is smart enough to know when you want people to know that and when you don't? I first heard this term, poor man's augmented reality, from Dennis Crowley a few years ago, and when he pointed out a buzz in your pocket might augment reality better than a visual interface directly in front of your eyes. Swarm is the fullest visual expression of this idea I've seen to date, but I'm looking forward to Amber Case's talk tomorrow on calm technology, because I think we'll hear some interesting ideas there. But my interest in poor man's augmented reality doesn't exclude my fascination with even the most far-reaching visions of AR. At the moment, we're clearly living in the age of context, not the age of augmented reality quite yet. And Robert Scoble's Keynote is next, and as he is the author of, he's written the book on the age of context with Shal Israel. We're going to hear some interesting stuff then. I know quite a few people here attended the Neurogaming conference. It really was an important event in relation to this, because these neurogaming technologies, this is really going to coincide with augmented reality, virtual reality, and we're all in this sort of field of the near future at about the same time. Palmer Luckey, the founder of Oculus Rift, was on a panel there, and he answered a question that I think is always at the top of our minds, is when is this full vision going to come? Are we going to be sitting here for the next 5 years, saying next year? And the point he made, I think, is really important if anyone's really here making applications, thinking about the next big thing. He said, right now, what you must keep in your mind is that it's tempting to add a feature that works 90%, 80%, or even 50% of the time, because it's cool when it works. But when it doesn't work, it's going to ruin the experience. So it isn't about adding a feature list and adding more and more things. It's about making an experience that is believable. And I think that's the kind of mantra for this moment in time, is that we have all of, a lot of 50%, 80%, but we have enough here to make really amazing experiences right now. So we're still at the very beginning of the augmented age. And I think it's interesting that, actually Ori mentioned augmento ergo sum. That's the famous Descartes phrase, I think, therefore I am, I augment, therefore I am. I found this illustration of it's Descartes' illustration of how the mechanism of mind-body dualism actually works. And it just cracked me up, because I think it's very similar to the stage we're at with VR and AR. But I think, when you look at this, you begin to wonder, some of these things I'm interested in, identity, community, networks. Well, what stage are we at with this right now? Again, come to the next session, Interactive World Visions, because I think we're going to hear a lot of interesting things about the state of play there. Ed Fries, the co-creator of Xbox, pointed out at the Neurogaming Conference and Expo that things that really matter are the most difficult to predict. He noted that he was at Microsoft when the World Wide Web took off, and it definitely caught people by surprise. No one had been thinking about the notion that all the computers in the world would be spontaneously connecting to each other. And I think the same applies to our thinking about augmented reality at the moment. We haven't really delved into that piece of the new connectivity. In addition to the progress we've made on strong AR, and believe me, in the last 5 years, this is a huge difference, and strong AR is the full eyewear gesture interface. We're beginning to see very new ways of networking emerge, like these wireless body area networks that are connecting us at levels not exclusively visual. This is a French group of researchers, and they're looking at new forms of cooperation between body and sensor networks that include incorporating navigation of groups in buildings, large-scale motion capture for gaming and healthcare. But they might even form the skeleton of future distributed cooperative communication networks. So this is something that really interests me. How can we code empathy into the Internet of Everything? Last year, I saw an article in Forbes on coding empathy into the system. And it began that in the industrial era, we live in a world hallmarked by hierarchies and strict boundaries around companies, organizations, communities, and nations. But today, in a globalized, networked, transparent world of fast change, there are many voices at the table, all speaking at the same time. And these voices are human and non-human. And an interesting note, Facebook has been experimenting with coding network into a social network. They experimented with this idea that instead of people reporting a photo they don't like to the hierarchies at Facebook, that they'd be able to express how that photo made them feel. This photo made me feel sad. This photo made me feel bad. And that actually was surprisingly successful and popular. So we have the fledgling early stages of this. Different forms of social media encourage different forms of social identity. And this is a model that Tricia Wang has outlined, which she calls the elastic self. I think it's very interesting. She divides this sort of social media into these formal, prescriptive, singular, and discrete identities. And I think I would put, Path, Twitter, Google Plus there, and Facebook was the one she put there. But now we're seeing this emergence of these sort of ephemeral apps like Snapchat, Whisper, you could say Instagram in that category, Tumblr and Vine. But what characterizes these social experiences of these apps is the ability to make contact with strangers. And it's interesting that when we're able to do that, we have more flexibility in our identity. We can be different things to different people, and we get these sort of performative, playful identities. And I think this is the seed of what's going to be the superpower for augmented connectivity. Right now, in terms of the I think I showed a slide just now. We've been through these stages of the Internet of Content, the Internet of People, the Internet of the Body, and the Internet of Everything. In terms of the Internet of the Body, we're very much locked into this thing like sensors that monitor glucose levels for diabetics, and that's the contact lens on the left. Skin signals, a device applied directly to the skin that can record useful medical information. This is a map you can't make yet because we don't have the apps to make this map. But I think this categorization into these kind of formal prescriptive approaches with this kind of constructing us through medical data is going to have have this other side, and we're going to see an emergence of these narrative, playful approaches to this kind of data. And again, that's when I think all of this goes from niche to mass market. This is one of my favorite TED Talks ever. It's Kelly McGonigal, How to Make Stress Your Friend. And basically, in brief, the talk is, it's not stress that kills you, but it's how you view stress that kills you. And there's a 10-year study she cites. The new science of stress reveals that how you think and act in relation to stress and what you believe about stress is actually what affects your health. For example, they did the very big study that she references, where people who did not think stress was bad for them did not have the bad health effects. In fact, they could even find good health effects from the release of oxytocin on the heart. And so this shows you that we already have clear data that how you narrate illness is just as important as the biometrics. And I think this is, again, the superpower of augmented reality, is that we are able to bring into this age of context, the ability to narrate things and connect in new ways. That's what's going to take this out of our useful applications, but they're not in popular culture yet. As already mentioned, 2014 was the year of the wearable. Will 2015 be the year of the empathic wearable? Whether it's poor man's or augmented reality or the full version of augmented reality, one of the keys to augmented reality will be to move from being a small community niche experience to a cultural movement. And I think the key, again, is coding into our systems ways to enhance empathy and new playful social identities. So augmented reality can enhance our empathic selves, our moods, our feelings, our hopes, our aspirational selves. And tomorrow we're going to have 2 keynotes from Hiroshi Ishii and Tim Chang. And I suspect we're going to hear Tim Chang's talk on building the tech-enabled soul tomorrow is going to speak to some of these things. And if Bruce Sterling couldn't be here this year, but he's been here for 4 other years, and he constantly said, one of the things I hope to come from this community is that we pay attention to what we augment. When you augment the world, it's implicit that you're trying to enhance things, not deteriorate them. So I'm hoping that perhaps next year will be the year of the empathic wearable.